Guys, welcome to the channel. My name is Niladri Mukherjee and I am a regulated Canadian immigration consultant. I practice here in Guelph, Ontario. If you follow this channel for a long time, you know that I am a strong believer and a strong proponent of the fact that getting a job offer in Canada from outside while you're outside Canada is extremely difficult. And I have said multiple times in my previous videos that it is almost next to impossible. People still get it, but the percentage of people that manage to get a Canadian job offer while they're outside Canada is very, very low, and hence you should probably try to look for alternatives. The time has probably come for me to change my stance, to modify my stance a little bit, keeping in mind, observing what's really going on in here. We are going through a very, very unique kind of a situation wherein we have a very high number of vacancies. At the same time, our unemployment rate is very, very high. What does that mean? This really means is that the people may have received a lot of free money during pandemic from the government, that a lot of them are not really willing to join back work, are not really willing to go back to their work which they have left, or which might have, they might have laid off during pandemic, because they have started getting a lot of money from the government due to their unemployment insurance, right? So we are going through that kind of a unique situation where we know there is a lot of vacancies where the employers are really struggling to get the deserving resources. There are people available, but a majority of them are not really willing to go back work, right? What this really means for you, for those that are watching this video from outside Canada, is that this really creates an enormous amount of opportunity for all of you. And I could tell you, in the last couple of weeks, I have at least 5 or 10 consultations wherein people have come in by after getting job offer while they're outside Canada from a Canadian employer, and saying that I have received job offer. And in some cases, people have actually received more than one job offer. And what really can I do with this job offer, right? So this really makes me thinking, and after careful observation of the current landscape, this made me believe that situation is changing. The situation has already shifted a lot. The mindset of the employers have really shifted a lot. A lot of the employers that have not hired a foreigner in the past have now started to thinking to hire foreigners for their vacancies, because simply they are not getting deserving and qualified resources that can come and join the work. This is actually true for a lot of employers that are not there in the Toronto, in the GTA, or in the main Vancouver region. If somebody that is sitting in the Atlantic Canada, somebody that is sitting in the north of Ontario, in the northern part of Ontario, in the northern part of Toronto, are not getting the desired resources, and hence this shift in mindsets. This makes this really calls for an enormous amount of opportunity for you that you could cash in on. But this does not really mean that if you just send your CVs randomly to the employers, they're going to accept it, they're going to respond to you. No, the situation is still tricky, the situation is still technical, and it needs to be it needs to be adopted in a way that it should be adopted for. Have a Canadian resume, obviously, in the first place. Get yourself a Canadian phone number if you could, and then try to approach those employers through the form of LinkedIn, through the form of messaging and Indeed, reaching out to their HR department, reaching out to their head of like various verticals in the manner like the way it should be done in Canada. And while the conversation is in progress, the least thing that you could do is that to apply for a Canadian visitor visa. I cannot stress this enough, how important a Canadian visitor visa could be for you if you do not have a Canadian visitor visa. First of all, if you have a Canadian visitor visa, you could come to Canada and do the job search while you are in Canada. If you're not that motivated, if you do not really want to spend that much amount of money, you could still apply for a Canadian visitor visa. And if an employer wants you to come in for a face-to-face interview, face-to-face final round of interview, you could take advantage of that. The last thing you want to tell to the employer that, hey, I do not have a visitor visa, I can apply now, I may get the visitor visa in the next 3 or 4 months time, and please wait for me. Nobody's going to wait for you, right? Apply for that visit visa. And the least, if you get a Canadian visitor visa approved, and if you get yourself an opportunity to apply for a work permit first, at a later stage, do not forget that all these things, work permit, visitor visa, study visa, or whatever, comes under the temporary resident visa category. So if you get yourself approved a Canadian visitor visa, having a work permit approved in the future makes things that much easier, makes things that much simpler. So Job market is there in Canada. I do not mind at this point in time to tell you is that as an outside Canada candidate, as outside Canada candidates, you should try your best to cash in on the opportunity. At the same time, the process remains that much technical. It needs to be sort of adapted in the manner that it should be adapted. It should have been adapted anyways. But this is the time probably that you should try hard, and while you do your things, while changing your CV to the Canadian standard, while you start reaching out to the employers, it is a no-brainer to apply for a visitor visa. Or if you have received a visitor visa, if you have approved for a visitor visa, or if you already have a visitor visa, it's probably high time for you to make a trip to Canada. If you could afford to spend here a month or two in the summer, it would probably be a game changer for you. I could tell you is that if you go to Atlantic Canada, the potential employers that you will be able to meet is very high at this point in time. If you are going to the Northern Ontario, again, the number of employers that would be willing to at least interview you, right, would again be very, very high. So cash in on the opportunity, right? If you need professional assistance, if you want me to consult you, drop me a line, contact@nuvonation.ca. Shall be glad to consult. Thank you, and I will see you in the next video, guys. Bye now.